Yeah, let's be real Americans. Let's podcast on July 4th. We're doing it.
I mean, truth. What the hell is anybody doing? Right? It's 2 o'clock on the East Coast. Uh, I mean, you're either already drunk and passed out, or you're not doing anything. It's kind of a 50-50 split.
You got to be a real American and fight for the rights of every man. Yeah, got to do it. Uh, we got some wrestling happening. Where we have, I don't know, it's been good. But the most important thing first is I'll set this up with a tweet from Orange Cassidy. You don't need roads to drive, just family. How was Fast and the Furious?
We're gonna henceforth we should refer to this film as Fieros in Space, because a Pontiac Fiero somehow can survive leaving Earth's atmosphere. I don't know. It's mindless fun. Like most things, just do. I mean, this is a wrestling podcast, so clearly suspension of disbelief is something I'm good with. It like all of these movies. Their acting isn't stellar. You're not going into it looking for Oscar-worthy performances or believability. We're using super magnets to pull cars through the sides of buildings. Um, I'm expected to believe that anybody else in this film, outside of maybe Tyrese, can win a fist fight with John Cena. No.
Also, that explains Orange Cassidy's follow tweet. I'm also really into magnets now. So,
yeah, that's pretty much it. It's magnets and space were basically the subtitle for this Fast and Furious film.
yeah.
But I mean, it's the magnetism of family, so you got to go with it.
There's some video on before Orange Cassidy was in AEW and all that stuff. There's this video about comedy and wrestling, and it just follows Colt Cabana and Orange Cassidy. And at some point, someone tries to ask him about his family life and his upbringing, and he just starts describing plots of various Fast and the Furious movies. So it's worth a look on YouTube if you can find it, or maybe I'll try to actually post a link to it in the show notes. That would be helpful. But let's start with some wrestling. How about that NXT? I mean, unless there's something from Raw you want to actually point out, but
yeah, actually,
yeah, really. All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, Matt Riddle has basically turned into an extremely consistent, entertaining piece on Raw. I mean, he's entertaining enough as it is, but this week he pulled double duty. Randy Orton was not around, so Matt Riddle took it upon himself to earn Randy his spot in the match at Money in the Bank by competing as his proxy, both in a battle royal to get into the triple threat since Randy wasn't around, and then competing in the triple threat. He ended up losing because lol Drew, but we're basically at a point where Drew McIntyre's just got to end up in every top match on every pay-per-view card for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, Matt Riddle has been consistently entertaining and he's almost made Raw worth watching each week because they give him more and more TV time each week,
or at least the parts that he's on. I guess.
I mean, if you watch it on Hulu like I do, you can just toggle through the thumbnails until you see Matt Riddle. I essentially Raw boils down to I watch anything with Riddle and Orton. If there's a random Jeff Hardy appearance, I watch it. Ricochet, now that they actually put him on Raw occasionally, and Bobby Lashley. Generally, if it's MVP with a microphone, I kind of toggle forward a little bit into it because he is a little long-winded. But yeah, I mean, there's good stuff on Raw still. That's the what Triple H said just recently about how wrestling fans have kind of ruined wrestling for themselves. I mean, I think it holds true. I think if you sit around and think about it too much, you can make anything, shit. QT
Like,
Marshall keeps showing up on Dynamite. Like if I sit around and think too much about that, Dynamite's garbage.
yeah.
So
Well, we got a strap match coming up this next week. A South Bay scratch match or whatever. Scratch match. Whatever. It's gonna be
South
whatever.
Beach strap match
Yeah.
because it's in Miami.
Yeah. Uh, well, so let's move on to NXT. We'll start with the headline here. Swerve and Hit Row, I guess, get their first championship by winning the NXT North American title. Uh, I think this means Bronson Reed. I mean, he already had a main event match. I think means he's not long for NXT.
No, I don't imagine he is either.
Mhm.
And truthfully, there's a couple of the Money in the Bank spots still open. I could see him. He kind of got tossed into that last, what was it, 6-man ladder match on
Yeah,
NXT. I could see them just filling a spot with him, for Money in the Bank. I don't see him winning, but it could definitely happen. I don't think he's going to be on NXT anymore.
yeah,
But speaking of Hit Row, I was watching NXT and all I kept thinking was like, why Hit Row? Hit Squad? Hit
yeah.
List? Like
Well,
there's so many
Death Row
things that are
Records.
like, I know, but I feel like Hit List sounds so much more badass.
I mean, they're going off their Death Row Records, which at this point is like as old as the Independence Day movie, if not older, like 1996. We're talking about, 25 years, man. Given those
Was
alien spaceships a cold. Uh,
was Death Row Master P?
um,
I mean,
I
yeah, I
don't
know
remember, but
like there was Cash Money Millionaires, but I can't remember who all was Death Row. But yeah, I
all.
remember.
I mean, there was the one
Yeah,
producer, I forget his name right now, but there was the one producer but I forget who was a part of Hit Row, or I'm sorry, Death Row Records, but like he ended up going to jail and stuff and involved in a murder or something. I don't know. It became kind of an apt name after a while. Uh,
oh, Suge Knight,
Suge Knight,
Suge Knight, and
yeah,
Dr. Dre.
yeah, okay,
Okay,
that's who it is. Um,
I get it. I just think it'd be more badass if they just turned up and whooped somebody's ass and their name was Hit List.
yeah.
So
Well, so beyond and we'll get to the actual the predictions for Great American Bash here in a moment. But were there any kind of big things other than the Swerve win that you think were worth talking about, worth noting?
I kind of like what they're doing with Roderick Strong as the basically de facto lead guy for Diamond Mine.
Mm,
Um, it has a feel like Thatcher's Catch Can,
yeah,
um, which I enjoyed, and then that sort of fizzled, and they put him with Champa, which I'm good with, obviously. But
yeah,
I really like what they're doing with Roderick Strong. Um, they're really working a build for Johnny Gargano to challenge Karrion Cross, which should be a great match. A little weird how much TV time the build for that has gotten for
mm.
it to not be part of Great American Bash. But
Oh, it's not.
I don't no, I don't know when the next pay per view is though. So maybe they're holding that one back because this one's already got uh, Adam Cole O'Reilly too. Um, though I don't believe it has any sort of special gimmick to it, which is weird that you would follow up the uh, unsanctioned match with just a standard wrestling match, but that's where we're at. But yeah, the build for Karrion Cross and Johnny Gargano has been pretty good.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, I mean there were good elements. The face to face MSK with Thatcher and Champa was a good segment. Um, Champa did the majority of the talking, and I can't tell if MSK is working heel for this match because they were definitely not the team that was getting the pop from the crowd during that face to
yeah.
face. So maybe this is a way of getting them a heel turn, and they can finally be entertaining. Um,
Yeah, MSK is a weird thing because like even when they were the Rascals in PWG, like it took a while for me to warm up to them. So I almost kind of feel like maybe they're having the same deal on NXT. I just hope that there's patience there for them to get over, because I think they're a great team and stuff. I just think there's something about them that's like they're not a good easy sell somehow, and I don't know. There's something about them, and I don't know if I can pinpoint what, but that's the experience I had with them in PWG. So it's kind of weird that's good. They're getting the same kind of reception basically as I was giving them, but on NXT.
Yeah,
So
I guess the good thing is that they didn't get fast tracked to the main roster or anything.
yeah,
So they're in the right place for patience.
yeah,
I mean, the first couple of times out for any, I think it hurts them that they came in the door and won the Dusty Cup like
yeah,
immediately. Um, but with any of these tag teams, it takes some warming up to them. Like nobody liked grizzled young veterans, and then you hated them so much that you didn't have a choice but to
yeah,
like them because they're so good. Um, so I mean, it's the perfect place for them. I mean, American Alpha was as vanilla as it gets, and somehow they
yeah,
became like my favorite tag team for a while there,
yeah,
until he got hurt. But yeah, they'll get there eventually, as long as they don't get, if they can. It probably wouldn't hurt to have them lose the belts and have them, kind of work from underneath for a while.
yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. Well, let's actually just jump up to SmackDown. If anything, you got the moment of moments with our man on commentary, Pat McAfee, sitting on top of uh, Michael Cole, using him as a throne to rock out just Shinsuke's entrance.
I,
I don't think I've seen anything in wrestling quite as entertaining as those few seconds. Uh,
I I'll I'll up the ante on that one. I don't think I've seen anything in wrestling since DX that has been as consistently entertaining and just marvelously electric as
yeah,
Pat McAfee on commentary. Like even because you could tell Michael Cole was frustrated, and they got the camera off it real quick because I
yeah,
just finished watching it. But even when they were like big camera going around the crowd, so you get like the whole feel for the Shinsuke entrance. Pat McAfee standing on the desk, just going completely nuts during that entrance. Um, he's he's amazing. He's the best part outside of yeeting Roman. He's the best thing on SmackDown. He may be top five best things about WWE right now, and it's not even a maybe. I know he is. He's probably top three. Um,
yeah. And then
but yeah, he's awesome.
you got the Usos leaning in to the whole Yeet movement. Like we should just do it that. Yeah, we should just come out at some point. The Usos come out like with Roman, and they're going Yeet,
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 yeet.
Yeet. That'd
Yeah,
be
the Yeet
great.
sweatshirt was a nice touch. Clearly, there's clearly a meme somewhere I haven't found yet, but I get disappointed. Like there was no Roman this week, and I get
Mm.
disappointed when I don't get the Yeet now. So I appreciated the sweatshirt to keep it alive for me.
Um, and like and then now we got going back to Wednesday. We got AEW Dynamite. Um, there's been some and I'll think it's pretty fair about the refs being consistently inconsistent, and that's something maybe one of the main things that AEW need to work on. There was a 3 count in that opening match with the Young Bucks versus Kingston and Penta, where it did appear to be a 3, but then if you go look back at it, like whoever was being pinned, I can't remember if it was Matt or Nick, his hand like flew back and hit the mat at the same time that a 3 would have happened, and Rick Knox never actually did do a 3, but it definitely looked on TV and everybody in the crowd. It had the visual illusion of being a 3 count and a botch for Rick Knox, but it's just in general, like I don't know. That's the thing that the AEW needs to shore up a little bit is their refereeing and stuff like that.
And all the fucking snafu finishes, like
Yeah,
can I get a fucking clean finish to anything? Just anything,
Yeah.
please. Like
You get
it's driving me insane.
the ghost of Dusty Rhodes, man. He's overseeing. He's not overseeing NXT. He's overseeing AEW. He's overseeing his kids' wrestling company. Uh,
Yeah,
that's what's happening.
On my I started the Squared Circle, the audio book on my Atlanta trip this week, and there was a whole section where they were talking about ECW and how Paul Heyman's like, entire strategy was these matches can be as nuts and violent and bloody and ridiculous as possible, but by God, somebody wins them.
Yeah,
Like as a match is supposed to be done. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Sandman could stand there and kill Raven in the middle of the ring, but at the end of it all, he's got to kneel down and pin the sumbitch.
Yeah.
Like it's driving me nuts. Like I can't take any more of the cold spray. I can't. I can't. It's driving me insane.
One thing I do really like is I keep on forgetting about Kazarian and his whole Elite Hunter gimmick. And like when the Good Brothers showed up at the end of that tag match, and I'm like, oh god, like because the match at that point it was like so good, so good, so good. And then he shows up, and they show up, and I'm like, ah, okay, here we go. And then Kazarian appears out of nowhere, which I props to how they handle Kazarian because like I never see him coming. And also, I just love that I forget that this is his gimmick. So all of a sudden, he pops out of nowhere. I like leapt off my couch when he like showed up in clothesline. I forget who he clotheslined, but it was just it was great. And then we did actually get a clean win here. And I also didn't know that this wasn't for the tag titles already because I was like, oh wow, this is great. Like we got a new champions and stuff. Like this is unexpected. But now we have a street fight coming up next week for the actual tag team match, which means I guess bad refereeing doesn't matter as much because there's no DQs, but I guess it also means there's going to be a whole bunch of shenanigans all across the board. But hopefully Kazarian is there to at least even the odds or something. I don't know, but we'll see.
I know it's the first show back on the road, and they're wanting to go big for it. But like, you've already got the South Beach strap match, which you could drop. I'd be okay with it. Just get rid of it entirely. But like. You can't have like every Wednesday can't turn into a fucking Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Like, yeah. I just need a couple of normal matches.
I think we'll get that with Andrade versus Matt Sydal. I think that could actually be a match that will be the sleeper hit of the evening.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure. But I mean, I would love to see Penta and Eddie like get those titles, and like. I would love the Young Bucks to be embarrassed. I think that would be better for the thing. Like, I don't think you need them Young Bucks being on an unbeatable tag team like you need kind of Kenny to kind of do that to make like that whole storyline work really well. I think if you took it off the Young Bucks and you put it on a team that actually was not doing all the shenanigans, I think that helps balance out Dynamite a lot. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't really expect it to happen. Not on the first show. If anything, they might keep it for like an actual sold out show. Apparently, they have in Texas the following week. But we'll go. But let's talk about Great American Bash being the 4th of July. The kind of the semi kind of like TV pay-per-view thing that we have going on. What matches have we set up for this show?
Well, we've only got 4 for this card, so I guess they're going to get plenty of time. I don't know how they'll do the Hulu edits. We may actually get the full 2 hours on Hulu this week, or I'll have to actually watch it on Peacock. We have singles match: Cole and O'Reilly, NXT Tag Team Title match: MSK versus Thatcher and Ciampa. The NXT Women's Tag Team title is being defended by The Way, LeRae and Hartwell, against the random pairing of Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. Both entertaining in their own right, just kind of a random, let's throw these two together so we can put them on the show. And then the the top draw for this one. As much as I love half the people on this card, the $1 million title match. LA Knight defends against Cameron Grimes. If Cameron Grimes loses, he has to serve as the butler to LA Knight.
Man, they're trying to
I
give Vince's attention with this with this match. Like,
I I don't know. I don't know which direction I want this to go because just the video packages of Cameron Grimes having to be the butler, they would be amazing.
yeah,
Um,
they would be much more into it than when Chuck Taylor had to be Miro's butler for that short amount of time. They kind of half-assed that, but like this would be full-assed. So,
yes,
yeah.
whole ass.
I think if they do a Hulu edit of this, unfortunately, I think from what you just said, I'm pretty sure that women's tag title match would be cut. I think that's what they're. If this is all that there is, unless there's a whole bunch of
Yeah,
like also kind of promo time and other stuff that they filled the show with, but I don't really think that's going to be the case, or either that
nah.
or there is some of that, and then they just cut all the entrances, and maybe there's like some kind of musical performance. I don't know, like they do sometimes. So
Poppy does the Star Spangled Banner
yeah, yeah. So,
because everybody wants to see that.
well, let's jump to Cole and O'Reilly. Were there any special stipulations to this, or is it just
Not not that I recall. I think it's just a straightforward wrestling match. I guess that's sort of what they've played to with like
mm,
O'Reilly wanting to challenge, the best of the best and taking on Kushida non-title
yeah,
and things like that. I don't know how you go back to it after the unsanctioned match though. That's I would have put him in a
yeah,
cage so nobody else can get involved.
yeah,
But I mean that they just had a cage match with Gargano and Bronson Reed, so
mm.
I guess they don't want to do it too much too quick. I do wonder if Hell in a Cell would fit in the Capitol Wrestling Center because I haven't had enough of that cage here lately.
I think what might happen is I'm thinking that uh, we might get a fifth match in the sense that they might do maybe a cruiserweight open challenge, possibly because they've done that in the past. I mean, that could
Yeah.
work. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, 2 hours plus commercials, especially if they're considering commercials in how they're doing it, like it could be just these four matches.
Oh, speaking of the cruiserweights, just to digress briefly, um, the NXT Breakout Tournament has started again,
Mm,
like they did 2 years ago, and last year they didn't do it because of the pandemic or whatnot. The matches have been on 205 Live, which
huh.
seemed a little weird to me. Like they announced the breakout tournament on NXT last week,
Hmm.
made no mention to the fact that any of the qualifiers were going to be elsewhere. And then I just stumbled upon it because I actually watch 205 Live.
I
I'd
think
never heard of either one of those guys, but
I think partly part of the issue with that is because apparently like Hulu actually does pay a decent amount of money or at least decent enough to for the rights for 205 Live to air those. So I don't know.
they released all of the talent.
Yeah,
We got to fill this damn hour out somehow.
yeah.
All
So
right, but I digress.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think I mean Cole and O'Reilly, just like any Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, always going to be entertaining. Like I mean, whatever stipulation you put them in, but I don't know. Yeah, it seems like a little hard to go, especially so soon after that uh, that match that they had a few months ago. Like, I don't know. Just it seems like there needs to be something else.
Yeah. I don't. I think it's. I think O'Reilly gets the clean win,
Yeah,
so that they can keep pushing him as the guy that wants to take on the best of the best. And I think Adam Cole's headed to SmackDown because they are making way too much mention of Pat McAfee
yeah,
um, for that not to be coming.
yeah.
Um,
And I think
so
that's money to do that match again with Pat, which I'm sure he's continued training. since that last match, which was
Oh,
already
it could steal
awesome.
SummerSlam. I
Yeah,
don't care who they bring back for SummerSlam. It could
yeah,
steal that damn show.
yeah,
So
um, yeah. It's just, yeah. I think you're right. It's probably on the way, but also, I don't know. Yeah, it'll be good, and we'll find out if I'll agree with you. Kyle O'Reilly gets a clean pin or submission maybe in the middle of the ring. So um, let's how about that tag match, that women's tag match, which may or may not be cut from the Hulu edit, which means I may or may not
I
see it.
but because they're building to Gargano going after the big belt,
Yeah,
I think it makes the most sense to keep these belts in the way,
yeah.
just as part of the ongoing. We're the best. This is the
Mhm.
way. Um, I
Yeah,
mean, it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I'd be surprised if the tag title changes hands on this show. Um, but it'd be a surprise. But we're not also in the Wednesday Night Wars anymore, so like I don't feel like you need to do something big like that, especially not on just a random thing. I don't know. We'll say. And then what was that other match that we haven't talked about? Or we kind of you were listed it.
The
Not the
men's
Butler
tag
match.
team match.
Men's tag team match. Yeah. I think what you're saying earlier with MSK. I would like to see them lose this. I'd like to see them kind of like lose that, not lose that momentum, but like I think they never really got the momentum. So I think to lose it and then kind of gain it more naturally, especially once um, fans. I mean, they already got fans, but like I don't know. I think what they need to do though is they just need to NXT needs to tour at least some degree of it, like for TV, not just like I know they were doing touring because I've seen them on the road before as well, but just to kind of compete a little bit with AEW. Not I know they're not directly competing anymore, but to make their TV product even more dynamic, I think they need to like get out of that the Capitol Wrestling Center, get out of Florida, and do some TV in other places because I think uh, that would really help. Um, just just that ground. I think MSK in general would do better in some other parts of the country than they're
Yes.
doing. So I just think the Florida crowd definitely just not buying them, but they'll do better in other places. So yeah, I'd like to see them tour at some point this year. I know they were talking about doing it right before the pandemic started. Like they were about to announce some road dates and stuff for doing the television show. So I don't know.
I
I
mean,
think
they
that's
now that they're on Tuesday, they might as well just
yeah,
leave your production team in the same city you do Raw and find a smaller venue. It
yeah,
couldn't be that hard to set up. Uh,
yeah. I would love to see like uh when they do like New York, like say they're doing the Barclays Center on Monday for Raw. Let's do a Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. Like that would be pretty sweet. I'd love to see an NXT show in that like iconic space. That'd be
yeah,
great.
I mean, do the historic buildings that aren't big enough that you don't want to do the main shows
Yeah.
in these build like in Atlanta, they NXT always does center stage, which
Mhm.
has a massive history with WCW and and stuff like that. So do
Yeah.
the historic buildings. I think the Sportatorium got demolished, but there's
Yeah.
got to be some historic shit in Dallas and Houston, and I mean,
You
there's
got
plenty of places you can make this work.
you got the Cow Palace in the San Francisco area.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of cool places that you could do it at ECW Arena um, in Philly. There are a lot of really cool spots you could do a lot of cool shows in that wouldn't be
use
as
the Lucha Underground arena.
yeah. Oh, that would be
Make
that
sure
would be
all the
awesome.
Lucha Underground stuff is still set up.
Oh man, Dario Cuento is just comes out of out of the office like he's still there.
He
Uh,
sleeps there.
Well, it should be a good show, though. At the very least, I hope they don't. Hulu doesn't cut too much. I mean, Karrion Cross, unfortunately, is not on this show, which means we don't get to, uh, automatically save 5 minutes cutting out his intro for the Hulu cut. So good luck, Hulu WWE editors, to get this down. Anything else you're excited for this week?
Uh, I want to see gold back on Ciampa's waist.
Yeah.
Like it's all I really want from this show. Nothing else of note has to happen. That's just all I want.
And we'll close the show. I don't know if it's really a surprise, but Zelina Vega's back, and she's been added to the Women's Money in the Bank, and she also deleted her pro unionization tweet from a year ago after she got fired. So everybody's got a price, as Ted DiBiase is famous for saying. Yeah,
I just love that they didn't acknowledge it at all.
Yeah.
Even when Liv Morgan came to the ring and she's like, "This is horseshit. She hasn't had a match in a year." Like, there's your moment. Walk to the ring. Does she even work here? Is that just acknowledge the fact that she got canned? Like, that's all I needed. We're in the reality era, so you can't hide and bury shit anymore.
Also, they reminded me that she poisoned Angelo Dawkins a year ago. I mean, in kayfabe, but like it was like, yeah, it's what you get for leaving an open red cup sitting around, I guess. But yeah, so she's like, kind of a criminal, not a Randy Orton, I burned somebody alive on television criminal, but
Hey, in a sense, that was progressive for WWE to have a woman roofie a man's drink.
Oh man. Well, stay safe out there. Don't blow your head off with some fireworks if that's what you're doing. And if you live out west in these states, please don't burn the whole place down. That'd be great.
Don't just find a Netflix stream of fireworks. Don't set the nation on fire. It's far too dry.
Yeah.
If you're in the British Columbia area and you set off a firework, you should be put to a firing range because there are people dying from the heat. So just be smart with it.
Just go people like a real
Florida. People in Florida, let go of the firework before it explodes. The Florida grip, it may be a joke, but there's a reason so many of you only have 9 fingers.
Oh, man. All right, man. Well, take it easy, everybody. Stay safe, and I don't know, keep it crispy. I don't know. What am I saying? I'm just stealing other people's podcast sign-offs now.
Like and subscribe.
All right, man. And ring that bell, I guess. That's something we're telling people to do now. All right. See you later.
I don't see a bell.